to the Doctor Who Marathon. I'm your host McEdam, and today we're going to be talking about the Maltese Penguin, written by Robert Sherman. This is a story which I don't actually own in physical copy, but I really wish I did. I got it free on the Big Finish website. They had a sale, and one of the sales was actually to get this story for free. And originally, I wasn't going to talk about this one because I don't own it physically, and unlike the other ones which I have talked about, this one I don't think is free anymore. You have to pay if you want to listen to this. But I decided to go against all my instincts to talk about this story because I get to talk about Frobisher. Now, for those of you who don't know, Frobisher was a companion of the Sixth Doctor in the comic strip of the Doctor Who Weekly magazine, in which the Doctor picked him up from his home planet and they had like many adventures. Frobisher has the distinction of being the first companion to be written under the writing skills of Colin Baker himself, as Colin Baker wrote a graphic novel featuring Frobisher called The Age of Chaos. Now, what's more interesting about Frobisher is what he actually is. Frobisher is a New Yorkian talking, shape-shifting alien that usually takes the form of a penguin. The Doctor's travelling with a New York talking, shape-shifting penguin who's also a private detective. That is absolutely mental and is probably one of the greatest ideas ever. I know He Who Moaned did this joke, but it does bear repeating. Who should we have as a companion? A girl from modern day Earth? Who should we have next? I know, a girl from modern day Earth. Let's see, a girl from modern day Earth? Next companion, a girl from modern day Earth. Next companion, how about a shape-shifting detective penguin with a New York accent? It's one of those ideas which works, which is just such incredibly silly. It only really works in the comic book format, and because of that format and his companionship and him and the Doctor's relationship, he's basically as egotistical and bombastic as the Sixth Doctor, and so it's really about them. So a lot of their times as a friendship has them trying to work out their similarities as well as their differences, which is a lot of fun. Frobisher appeared in 2 audio dramas. One of them was a story that we're not going to be tackling because I haven't heard it, called The Holy Terror, which was his first appearance. It was part of a side-step adventures of Big Finish, in which they tackled elements from the novels, comic books, and so on and so forth. I believe there were only 3 of them, but yeah. And because the Frobisher one, also written by Robert Sherman, did fantastically well, that they brought him back for this particular adventure. Another very important step in this story is how is the story structured, because this would be a huge influence in Doctor Who audio dramas to come. Basically, this story doesn't have much of the Doctor in it. In fact, the Doctor himself as a character only appears in, I believe, 3 scenes, and it's mainly about Frobisher's little adventure. And here we have the story told in this really fun noir adventure where Frobisher's talking to the audience, he's narrating the adventure, and then it cuts to some scenes of dialogue between him and another character. This would be the style of storytelling which would become more popular in the range of companion chronicles. This story was actually released before companion chronicles was a thing. So that's really cool. So this is like a unofficial precursor to those kind of stories. But so yeah, I've talked a lot about Frobisher, the setup, and just the weirdness of this character. And he's one of the characters I just really wanted to get into. Sadly, however, I haven't gotten time to get into the comic books or listen to the other story. But luckily, thanks to Big Finish, I got this story for free. So I was able to listen to it, and I can tell you my opinions on it in this vlog series. So in this adventure, Frobisher and the Doctor basically are been on this planet for a while. I don't know if it's named, if it's Frobisher's home planet, but he set up a private eye detective agency, and basically he feels like he's always like second best to the Doctor. So he decided that he asked the Doctor to basically, can we stay here for a while and let me prove myself, let me become a detective again. Basically, because of the Doctor, he's come a little bit soft, and we get this really fun noir-inspired storytelling with the Frobisher narrating everything as if he's a washed-up detective whose best days are behind him. There's a great bit where he keeps getting phone calls for who got the wrong number, and it's actually like a laundry stuff, and Frobisher like gets the same call twice, and it's like, wait, before you go, do you have any detective stuff? Maybe I can look at your bins. And oh wait, no, okay. and there's a great bit, and it's funny how serious he takes himself, but how ridiculous the concept is. And he gets a knock on the door by a supposed stranger, and he goes on to his great philosophy. It's like, in one flipper he has a gun, in one a wine. That way he's always prepared. If somebody walks in and they're a friend, he can offer them a drink. And if he offers if it's a foe, he can offer them the gun. But when the stranger walks in, it's the Doctor, basically. He basically is asking Frobisher, is he done yet? Can they go back to their travels? And that the Doctor wants to go out and save the universe. But Frobisher's like, I'm sorry, Doc, I'm gonna stay here. I like your adventures and stuff, but I always felt like I'm second fiddle to you. You're the one saving adventures. I'm just your sidekick. I need to prove myself. And the Doctor's just like, okay then. I'd like you to it. I'll just go and save the universe all by myself. And there's a bit of a competition between the two men. It's really funny. The Doctor mentions that during his time away from Frobisher, he saved the universe multiple occasions. I think twice, he said. Whilst Frobisher has found a missing cat. And that's really all he's done since the last time he's seen the Doctor. And so the Doctor, as a character, isn't hardly in this story. He's mainly pushed to the sideline as Frobisher gets another client, a very luxurious woman who is asking Frobisher to take her case. And there's a great moment when Frobisher's basically, he's like dribbling over her. He's really fascinated with this woman, but she's talking about how she believes her fiancé is cheating on her. Can Frobisher go and investigate to see if he's being with someone else? Does Frobisher go, yeah, of course, but in his monologue, he's like, I'm in a dilemma. I want it to be her and me, not her and him. And she's asking me to sort out her and him, which would get in the way of her and me. Does that make any sense? It's just, Rob Sherman has a lot of fun with this noir-inspired storyline. I mean, the Maltese penguin is a reference to the film The Maltese Falcon, a film, I believe it's by Orson Welles. I'm not quite sure. Orson Welles in it, I think. I can't remember. But yeah, so there's a lot of little nods, and I would especially love the music in this, which plays that that kind of soft jazz that makes you feel like you're going on an alleyway in the dark with only some neon lights in the background for illuminating the darkness. And you could just imagine like people on the walls smoking a cigar. That kind of atmosphere. It does a phenomenal job at playing up this this world that we're experiencing. It's a lot of fun. That's the main emphasis on this. It is fun, it's enjoyable, it's just overall a great little nod to noir-inspired storylines. When Frobisher goes into his investigations, he actually takes the form of the Sixth Doctor. He explains that that it's not a sentimentality thing. It's because he found the human form to be really hard to concentrate, and so he needs to transform into someone he knows very well, that being the Doctor. And when he's transformed into the Sixth Doctor, Colin Baker voices Frobisher, but Colin Baker gives him his New York accent. So you hear Colin Baker doing a New Yorkish accent, and I love this. I absolutely love this. Maybe as well it helps separate the scenes from the narration, as the narration is still voiced by Robert Resnez or something like that. I can't remember his name, I do apologise, but the guy who voices the main form of Frobisher, the penguin form, he narrates it as Colin Baker plays Frobisher in the actual narrative. And when he goes to this guy's apartment, does he find blood on the floor, and it seems to be really hot as it starts steaming. However, Frobisher gets caught up with police officers. One of them he describes, and the actor gives him the voice of Peter Lorre, one of the famous actors during the 30s and 40s, emphasising that noir feel, as he appeared in a lot of noir and horror films. For example, M or Casablanca, if you want to count it. It's a kind of a noir film, I guess. The Frobisher, the Sixth Doctor, with a New Yorkish voice, is talking to a detective who sounds and looks a lot like Peter Lorre. And here's this, he's basically a bad cop. He's a cop, but he gets paid to basically keep his nose in the dirt, and he gives Frobisher to his crime boss, and he asks for a little bit more money if they're going to kill Frobisher, to which it's like, we don't know. And so Frobisher gets knocked out in a really fun little segment, which always makes me laugh. I first heard about this on the TARDIS wiki. That's Doctor Who's official Wikipedia platform, if you didn't know. And this is where it comes from. When I heard it on the wiki, I just absolutely had to laugh. Frobisher has been knocked out so many times that he started to enjoy it. That's hilarious. In the story, he actually explains that it's because he doesn't get enough sleep, so when he gets knocked out, when he loses consciousness, he's actually awake. He's actually asleep, and he gets some shut-eye. And it's here that we learn the main villain, the main crime boss. It's a character called Dog Boulder, who is a villain that's appeared in multiple comic book adventures. mainly against the Sixth Doctor and Frobisher. I believe he appears in their first appearance. I'm not quite sure. But he's also well known for fighting the Seventh Doctor. In fact, this would be Bulldogger's first appearance in audio format, and would appear again in a Seventh Doctor audio drama, which we will not be tackling because I don't have that and I have no real interest in that one. But and the description that he's basically this like a mob boss who's the most powerfulest and richest person in the universe. There's a great moment where Frobisher's like referencing like there's some people who are so famous that they are known on every planet, and he gives a list of certain people, one of them being Ronald McDonald. I love that little line. And then he states there are some people who are so rich and so famous they can buy animosity. Nobody knows who he is. No, there's no legal documents, no nothing. And Dog Boulder is one of them. Now he takes the form of an anthropomorphic frog. And Frobisher states that there are two stories on his origin. He's either a human with two perfectly normal human parents who saw their baby and were so disgusted and mortified that they abandoned him. Or it was two frogs, normal frogs, that gave birth to him, and they were so horrified that they abandoned him in the same story. But either way, Dog Boulder's appearance is a disgusting mix of a gangster and a humanoid frog. And this character is a mustache twirling villain. He plays up the villainous, but he's just having so much fun with it. And Robert Sherman gives a fantastic job at writing him as such a maniacal, powerful, evil character. He even has a bunch of paintings by some of the most famous artists. One of them actually is Vincent van Gogh, so that's really cool. And he has the paintings facing the wall, because owning them is a sign of his wealth. He didn't buy them for their artistic or appealing qualities. He just bought them to basically brag about his wealth. And that's how powerful this character is. And we also get some really fun moments. There's a great moment I especially like where he's basically asking for the thing. We don't know what this thing is, but he's after it. Basically, it's the Maltese falcon in this story. Whatever this is, everybody seems to want it. And there's a great moment where Frobisher is stating that he doesn't know what it is, and he's not going to tell him. Dog Boulder turns to his friend and to his one of his henchmen and is like, do you know where this thing is? What? Do you know where the thing is? No. So you have no information for me? No, boss. Okay. Kills him. And it's like, Frobisher, you're going to tell me what I'm looking for. And then realise basically that he doesn't own it. So he sentenced basically Frobisher to death. And Frobisher's basically last line is why does he want this thing? What is the thing? What is he after? And Dog Boulder basically tells him because he believes that this information can't go anywhere. So he explains what this thing is. Basically, Dog Boulder, he is secretly the owner of this entire planet. He basically has bought every corporation, he's bought every factory and facility in this place. And this place is such an economic balance that he can basically shut down everything and profit by it. And so he hates anything in this world that even has an inkling of any idea of anything else that he doesn't own, because if people can start making new things, then that's a threat to his economy, as they will start multiplying and buying, and they can set up their own shops and their own things. And Dog Boulder learns that one of his employees has made a thing, something new. He doesn't know what it is. He doesn't know particularly anything about it. He knows it, but he does know one of his staff has made a thing, and he wants it. He wants to destroy it so that there can be no hope of anything else being recreated and mass-produced on his planet that isn't owned by him. And after telling Frobisher all this, one of his henchmen takes him up to a cliff and pushes Frobisher off a cliff. We get a great scene which reminds me a lot of Sherlock in a particular scene. For those of you who watch Sherlock, you probably know what I'm on about. In which Frobisher, whilst he's fallen, in the narration, he's explaining it's like he can hear he can hear water. So he needs to transform quick so he can survive. But what form shall he take? He can transform into a fish, but depending on the water, certain fishes might not be adaptable to this situation. And so he's trying to work out what he should transform into before he hits the floor. And then he clicks, and just before he falls into the ocean, he transforms back into his usual penguin self. And it's here that the TARDIS appears, and the Doctor reintroduces himself and asks the Frobisher, "Are you done with your investigating? Can we go and travel again?" And Frobisher's basically explaining, it's like, "Doctor, just go on without me. I'm going to do this case. I've got a case. I'm at the bit where all my enemies are trying to kill me." And the Doctor's like, "Oh yeah, that is usually the most interesting part, isn't it?" So they're talking as if like their adventures to them is like a game, and their egos, the fact that the people are trying to kill them is part of the enjoyment, really emphasises that this is a Sixth Doctor adventure. The Sixth Doctor himself might not appear in it much, but his personality really shines out in this story. The Doctor also states it's like, "Fine, I will confess. The reason I keep asking you is because I'm lonely. I like travelling the universe with a friend. Saving the universe is great, but it doesn't feel as satisfying when you don't have a friend." But Frobisher's like, "I'm sorry, Doc. I'll see you after this investigation. We'll continue our travels after I've sought this." And so the Doctor's like, "Oh yeah, okay," and buggers off. Before Frobisher can get back to his office, he decides to transform back into the Sixth Doctor's format, which the woman who hired him is snoozing around in his office, and he basically works out that this whole thing was just a ploy to get Frobisher into the narrative, only for Dog Boulder's guards to basically find them snooping around, take them captive, and we learned that the employer was this woman's husband, fiance, and that she only really hired Frobisher to try and find out what this thing is. And Dog Boulder gets really mad and wants to find out what it is, only for Frobisher to basically be like, "Wait, she was snooping around in my office, so it must be in my office." And so they go back to his office and find this thing, a box. Dog Boulder is very hesitant at first, and even opening it, he originally wants to destroy it. But the curiosity gets the better of him. So he opens the box, and finds a computer chip. Dog Boulder gets curious even further. He plugs it into his computer, and the only thing that's on it is a joke, amusement, a little bit of laughter. That's it. But there's something else. A little virus implanted in this allows this little joke to go throughout every computer system on the planet. Everybody has a laugh. Everybody starts to enjoy this, and it allows the circle, the wheel of creativity, of sharing ideas to pick up speed, allowing for Dog Boulder's empire to fall. And this just creates havoc. And he's about to kill Frobisher and the girl, only to be rescued. Frobisher notes that, like, what I'm really after is a quick little escape, a convenient plot point that will help me from escape. But you never find those in noir stories, only in cheap, silly sci-fi stories, to which this thing appears. It is the TARDIS as the Doctor appears, and this distracts Bulldogger enough that he runs away and escapes. And the Doctor's like, are you done yet? Oh, almost. So Frobisher is asking this girl about her fiancé, only to reveal that there was no fiancé. She made him up. She came up with this whole plan so that she can get Dog Boulder out of the way. And she reveals that she's a shapeshifter as well. She's a shapeshifting penguin. She is Frobisher's ex-wife. That comes out of nowhere. I don't know if she's a comic book character or if she appears in anything else, but that came right out of nowhere. And if there was any other story, I would be bummed by this, but the fact that the story is an homage to noir story, and it's like basically a parody. I did have a chuckle of just suddenly, what the hell? His wife's involved in this? He has an ex-wife? She's also a penguin? What the hell? What? Sorry, what? I just cannot compute. Cannot compute. And so the story ends with Frobisher accepting that he's done some really great work in this adventure. And he goes into the TARDIS and travels off into presumably other comic book adventures. And that is the Maltese Penguin. Overall, it is hugely lovable. It's really fun. The prestige of it being a noir-inspired storyline is just a lot of fun. And Robert Sherman plays this up so magnificently well. Robert Sherman is clearly one of the best Doctor Who writers to ever exist. There's nothing. My only real issue there's nothing really bad here, but comparing it to other Robert Sherman's work, specifically those like Dalek, and all of his other ones that he's done, this kind of feels like a step down for him. Usually, he tells a story, maybe it's a parody, maybe it's completely serious, but he has this absolutely amazing style to him where he has a kind of a political message and he has a sort of agenda, as some of you might say, or like a theme, an idea, and he hides it under so much great plot points and character beats, and he hides it under great comedy and great sorrow and great dark moments that really elevates his storylines. And here, it just feels like, I say just feel like, but here it feels like he's just having a lot of fun. He's not trying to bring out a message. He's not trying to say like, yay, this is the a part of philosophy of the human soul, or what if we take the Daleks and use them in a way that how we treat the Nazis as like as a creature we've defeated and we're proud of it and blah 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 blah. Here he's just having a lot of fun and just being a homage to Noah stories. And sadly, because of that, I think, despite this being, I can't stress this enough, incredibly enjoyable and absolute fun, it's easily his weakest work, which is just a massive compliment if you think about it. But yeah, that's the Maltese Penguin. So join me next time where the Doctor is again in a courtroom drama storyline as the Doctor must investigate some giant rhino police persons. So join me next time for Jadoon in Chains. And I'll see you next time on the Doctor Who Marathon. Ta-da!